Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I am going to show a fun fold, origami fold technique card to make a Christmas tree. I watched Tina Zink make one, and then I really liked the one that Christina Reese did, and so I've kind of taken her idea and used that for my other card for the November class. So let's go over what you'll need to create this. There is the base, which I used Misty Moonlight, because the paper that I'm using, let me go over that too, is the Tidings of Christmas out of the annual catalog for 2021-22. I'm also using the Scalloped Contours dies again. This is the largest one to create this large scalloped piece that'll go on the front. And I'm also using the Merry Christmas out of For Unto Us. I really love that the font that it uses for that, and so that's what I'm using for my card. The one that Christina Reese used, it actually was a longer one that fit across the bottom, and I think it came out of the evergreen bundle that she used. So the reason that I chose the Misty Moonlight for my base is because that color is part of one of the papers that is in this pack of designer series paper. So this is a 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just gonna fold that and burnish that score line to create the base. You're gonna have that large scalloped rectangle. There's also a basic white piece that I cut for the inside that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and you can stamp on that and put a centimeter, whatever you want on the inside. And then the other pieces, you'll need a scrap of early espresso to create the tree trunk. And then there's a piece of ribbon. You can use ribbon, or if you want, I also have a bunch of the bedazzling paper left over from the August, September 2021 celebration, and I happen to have an old punch that I could just come in here and punch a star to go on top of the tree. So you can use stars, ribbon, whatever kind of embellishment you might want for the top of the tree. I just chose the ribbon on my card class, but that's some choices. And then you're going to have the designer series paper. On some of the ones that I watched, they made the papers all the same color, the same design. I thought it would be kind of cute to have different designs, and so that's kind of what I've created using the different designer series papers. So this one is a 3-inch square, a 2.5-inch square, a 2-inch square, and then a 1.5-inch square is what you'll need for this. So let me go over a couple of things. One is kind of some tips that I can share. So on this scallops rectangle, you're going to want to create some dots, and it's kind of a flicking technique, and Christina Reese shared one where you take the kind of brush end of the blends, and you can take that and just from the lid you just kind of flick it, and it creates this spatter effect. You don't want to push down too hard because you don't want to damage your end, and it's just kind of flicking a little bit. Another way to get the same effect, I've done a couple of others. I have had this toothbrush in my stash, in my craft stash, for a long time, and you can take the ink pad and just dab this is a crumb cake that I'm using. you can just take this and then run your finger over it, and it creates spatters as well. Main problem with that, you get ink on your finger, but you can always have wet wipes or something in your craft room to be able to do that. I'm gonna just wipe it off on my stamp chamois. But it's a little messier, but it's what I used before I got all the other neat tools and tricks. Another one that you can also do is using your ink pad and a small block. Add a little bit of ink to your block. And then I have the new water brushes, but I just happened to grab this. Any of those that hold the water in the barrel, you just put out a very little bit of the water kind of to mix with that ink, and then you can just kind of flick from your block as well. Now this way you may end up getting some larger splatters like I did earlier when I was showing it, and it also creates a little bit of a mess that you have to clean up. But that's another way to do it. If you don't have the blends markers, you can always do it with the water painters, water brushes. You just have to make sure you clean it out. And then you also want to clean off your block so that you don't end up with any residue on your block as well. So that is 3 different ways to be able to create that flicking technique. And so let me put that off to the side. I've already done one, created one with the spatters on it. And you can go ahead and right now if you want to and put your tree trunk on, or you can wait till you're working on your to the rest of the card. So the other thing that I wanted to go over, and I created a large piece so that you could kind of follow me. This is the origami fold that you'll do on those designer series paper. So the ones that are the 3, 2.5, 2, and 1.5. You're going to do this to each one of those. So basically you're going to start out by folding it in half this way. You'll open it up, fold it in half the other way. Then you'll open it up and you'll fold it diagonally from opposite corner to opposite corner. Open it up and do it diagonally again. Then you'll open it back up and you're going to have your diagonal pieces coming this way. And what you're going to want to do is kind of bring this up, but you want to tuck these side pieces in while you're bringing these diagonal score lines together. And you'll end up with what looks like kind of 2 triangles with this piece pushed in, and you'll have this triangle here. And you'll want to use your bone folder to kind of go over your edges. It doesn't require a lot of pressure. If you put too much pressure, because the designer series paper is thinner than cardstock, it could actually kind of create a crease that shows the white core inside. After you get all of your pieces into this triangle shape, you're gonna then, you can see this score line that goes right down here. What I did was I took my fingernail and put it at the point, the top point up here, away from these folded pieces down here. And I put my fingernail right on that score line. Then you're gonna take this outside of just the front one, the outside fold, and you're going to want to line that up with that center score line. And I used my fingernail to just kind of help me to get that crease right there at the top, and then fold it down, and then you're going to use your bone folder to crease that. And then you'll do the exact same thing with the other side, and you'll want to bring those together so that they meet, and then you'll do that as well. And that's what creates this. Now, before you folded those, this bottom part is actually, from what I was watching them, the origami people actually call this a water bomb. And so we're taking the water bomb and adding another fold. And that's what creates the little tree look. So I've already done that to this card, or these pieces on another card just to save time. So let me get all my pieces over here so we can put this together. So once you've done this, and the other thing, Christina Reese did her Merry Christmas in black, so it would really stand out from what she was doing. I actually wanted to use the cherry cobbler that matches the designer Sherry's paper that I chose. And I am just going to stamp the Merry Christmas sentiment that I chose off onto the side over here so that it's in the lower right corner. And I just really liked that. It's kind of a print with a cursive kind of writing off in the corner. So that piece we're going to go ahead and adhere to the front. And you do want to keep your glue kind of out towards the edge as much as possible so that it will keep the outer edges from flipping up as much. So there is that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to this piece and put it on the inside. I can always write something or put a sentiment in later. And this has a little border around it on the inside. You can always add some other stamps too. So on the front, you're going to kind of line these up the way you want them. And the ones underneath are going to tuck into this just a little bit. So if you want, you could go ahead and put a glue dot on that point if you wanted to. Figure out how close you wanted these to be, and then you could just kind of, once you've got that inside there, just push down where that dot is, and then that would help hold it together. And then you would continue that with these other ones. And then if you want to use the Tombow white craft glue, you could do that, or you could use adhesive runner on the backs. Put this where I want it, line it up, get another glue dot. You just want to make sure that they're not going to be too far apart so that they won't fit on the front of the card, which is why I'm only just using one glue dot to kind of create this, so I can kind of move it down a little bit if I need to. And then that goes there. You're also going to want to make sure that you add a little bit of adhesive to the top part of, oh, that one ran out, so let me grab the next one. A little bit to the back side of this tree trunk so that you can kind of put it in, and I'm tucking it again inside. Tuck it in so that it goes where you want it, kind of in the center. And I haven't really stuck anything down, so I'm going to take my glue runner on the back and just put, I think it worked better when I went long ways. Put some adhesive runner on the back. Like I said, you could use this, you could use the white craft glue, any other kind of adhesives that you would like. Oh, that one went off. Fold that back over. Okay, get it straight again. And I'm going to put this on here so that I can get my either a star or like I'm doing with the ribbon on top of there. And then kind of stick those where I want them. This one I have a little bit of glue sticking out, so I'm going to shove it back in there. Now, to keep these things from sticking out so far on the front, what I did was I picked up a little glue dot, and then underneath here, I kind of put the glue dot on the underside of the inside so that when I push it down, it kind of holds that back square or back triangle down, but allows this to be kind of sticking out a little bit. But you could also put it just underneath those flaps and be able to glue those down as well if you want. So I just wanted mine to be able to stick out a little bit with those front folds, but I want to make sure that the back triangle is stuck down, because otherwise, if you can see how it's kind of sticking out, I would like for it to stay more flat on that back triangle. So that's what I'm basically doing with this glue dot, is putting it on the inside of that center, and then when I push it down, it glues that back part there. If it's still sticking out too much for you, you can always take and put another glue dot back behind these front folds and hold that down. And then of course I just use a glue dot to adhere the ribbon. And this is just a small ribbon that I tied a bow in. These mini glue dots, they fold over really nicely at the back. And then you can add that to the top of the tree. And then you've got a cute little card that you can send to somebody. Let them know that you're thinking about them for Christmas. I'm trying to get Christmas cards made so that I can send those out because I really am fighting the commercialism of this time of the year, especially this year. And I think a card is about the best thing that anybody can do, especially a homemade one, because it truly tells that you were thought about them the whole time that you were making it and putting together. So I appreciate you checking out my video and watching me, and I hope that it helps with you wanting to try some new ways of creating cards. I also have my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and the link to this video will be over there along with other cards that I make. So I hope that you'll check that out as well, and thank you for being part of my day.